Today I'm going to take you through one of my sketchbook times. This is timed by 15 minutes. You'll notice that I've got some marks which have come through from the previous day's work, and I'm going to leave those today. I'm going to see what I can do with them, what I can make out of it. So I've got a bunch of tools. I've got those Aquarel Stabilo pencils. Love those. They're one of my favorites to use at the moment. And I've also got these set of ink pads. Look, I don't know where I got them from. They've just sort of appeared in my little stash. They come in a variety of colours. So I think I'm going to have a little bit of a play with these. I did the other day on one of my pages and I really loved the effects that it made. So I'm going to use some of those in this page. I'm just going to pick up some random colours and I'm just going to rub these over my page and just see what sort of marks and what sort of texture I can make from these. Again, I know that I'm going to be using these for a landscape. However, I don't really know what sort of landscape it's going to look like or where I'm heading with it. So I've picked up this nice bright green. I think that that's going to give a lovely background. I've also just looking at what else I can add. So this is another colour which is similar to the one that I've already laid, but this is a little bit more orange. So I'm just going to pop that in there. And I want a sky, so I've got my blue there. I'm also putting some water on my fingers and just rubbing that and seeing how much that will help move those ink pads around. Again, I haven't used these very much at all. They're not actually used for this, but I thought they were a good tool to try. They come in such a variety of colours. This one that I've picked up now is a beautiful green. It's almost like a lime, soft lime green, and it's just a lovely colour. So I'm going to move some of that around again with water on my fingers just to blend it in and get a little bit of movement there. I've got my spray bottle, so I'm just going to just put a little bit of water on my page just to move some of this colour, blend it, soften it, and see what I can do with that and how that is going to interact with my ink pads that I'm using. So I've now grabbed my Stabilo pencil. This is one of my favorites. So these are Aquarel. You can use them on paper, you can use them on glass, metal, all sorts of things. What I like to do is actually dip them in the water, and then once I've dipped them in the water, I can add them to the page, and I find that you get some really good marks with them. Now, I've just realized that the left-hand side of my page is not in camera shot, so I've just moved the camera to try and get the full page in. So I'm now picked up the black, and this seems to be my favorite go-to tool. I feel like you get a bit of a charcoal effect with this pencil. So again, I'm dipping it in water. I've also got water on my page, so I find that it really moves around well. It creates some beautiful texture. It creates some beautiful marks as well. And I love the deepness of the black. Believe it or not, when I'm painting, I don't use black. I tend to use Payne's grey. Most of my work is normally in acrylics, and then I'll go over with something like a pencil or maybe some charcoal, but I very rarely use black paint. However, in my sketchbooks, I've been using these pencils that I absolutely love, and the black one seems to be predominantly getting in on those pages. So now I've got the red one, which is a beautiful red, and I'm just getting some more background in there. I don't know where this is going to head, so it's quite exciting to see it all come together. But I have got some lovely colours forming in there. I'm using a limited palette with these pencils because they are amazing pencils. I get mine from Officeworks, and it is in the section where all the pencils are self-serve at the front of the store. However, these only come in, I believe, well, all that I've been able to get is red, blue, yellow, orange, black, white, and graphite. So there's only the 7 colours. And a blue, if I didn't mention that, which, you know, are great. They are great, but it would be terrific if they came in a few more colours, because I certainly would buy them. So I'm getting that red in there to just get some nice marks. I'm pulling my brush out and just moving some of that colour around, just getting it to move around the page more. Still got that orange and yellow coming through, which I'm excited about. I'm finding that that side of the page is getting wet. It's actually bleeding through to yesterday's page, which is interesting because yesterday's page bled through to these 2 pages. So it's quite ironic, isn't it? And you can still see those marks are sitting there from yesterday up in the middle of the page, and we'll see what comes of those. So I'm adding some more black in down on the right hand side. I'm using the black on its side, and now I've gone back to the graphite because it's not so harsh and you can get some really good marks. I can also draw some of that black up when I'm using the graphite as well, particularly if it's quite wet. So I find that it's not so intense with the graphite. It's you're still getting great marks, but you're not getting that deep black mark there. So that tends to be quite good to be able to get that come through. So I'm just adding some more in here. Just want that sort of Australian bush look. It's almost got that red earth or fire, you know, that real beautiful Australian red that comes through, particularly in the outback. I am using the white here to just soften some of the dark areas and just to pull a little bit of lightness in. The white doesn't do an awful lot, but it does tend to soften some of the work, which is good. I'm now coming in with the orange colour. Now this is a beautiful orange. It's quite a burnt orange, and it really is a lovely colour to play with. I believe personally that it does give that real Australian outback sort of look. And I do love the intensity of it, but the fact that it also is that real sunburnt orange colour. And for some reason, orange has been playing quite a pivotal role in my artwork lately. Even in some of the classes that I've been running, I have chosen some of the resource photos, and they're quite heavily leaning towards orange. So it seems to be just a colour that I've been really happy with, and orange is a happy colour. So I'm glad to see that it's coming through here. So I'm back with my black pencil again and dipping it in water. You can see that that scrub is really starting to come through on the right hand side now, and it's really playing against the orange, playing against the red, and also, you know, the back yellow area, and also what came through on the ink pad is starting to come through as well in the greens and coming as the background. So I continue to do a bit more work on there, and that has that's continuing to just process through that. And sometimes you've got to know when to stop and when to start again. And sometimes you do need a little bit of time to process what you're doing. But the fact that I've got a 15-minute timer on here means that I haven't got that time to stop and think. I want to be loose. I don't want to be thinking about the outcome. I purely want to be just playing with the tools, seeing what comes of it. I'm moving some of my color around now with the brush, and now I'm going back in with that graphite pencil. The graphite pencil really does help to put a little bit of structure into the top area. It gives a little bit of line of sight in behind all that, forward bracken that's there, and it's starting to build up, a little bit of hills and a little bit of background there as well. So it's a great tool to be able to use. So I'm just doing the final sort of work on it, just to see how things are going, where they will end up. And I'm back with my tree. It's a little bit off camera, but I'm there adding in a tree and putting in. I just felt that it was a little bit boring, that it needed a bit more of a focal point. And I have really been exploring, that silhouette tree, that burnt out tree. Here in Australia, we've had lots of fire, bushfires. Luckily, not anywhere near where I live. However, you see it on the television and on social media, and it's really, I do love the look of those burnt out trees and the regeneration that occurs after a fire. And I sort of had that feeling in the artworks that I've been doing in the sketchbooks lately. So here I'm just, unfortunately, as I said, it's off camera slightly. Didn't realise it when I was recording, but I do actually pull this over and show you exactly what the finished artwork looks like. So I'm also going to just add a little bit more detail in the foreground, just get a little bit more of the silhouettes, get a little bit more shadow going in, and a bit more, sort of type, uh, bracken type marks in there as well. So they just sort of, come more alive, I think. But what I do love about this piece is you've got the greens, you've got some white, you've got some orange coming through. It's very, very distinct. In the fact that I do believe it looks very much like an Australian landscape, which I'm pretty happy with. So I am then just doing some final little bits with the ink pad, and I grabbed the orange ink pad, and I just love what it did in there. It is quite wet in that left hand back bottom corner. So I am finding that the stamp is coming through really well. But I just love those colours coming through. I think they just really add some beautiful depth to this. I do love the fact that you can just be free and easy with the sketchbook, and you're not precious about it. You can just practice and play and enjoy, and that makes a huge difference. So I just do a little bit more with my brush, just moving a few little bits and pieces around. I've got some leftover watercolor paint on that palette, so I'm just doing a little bit to the sky, just getting a little bit of color in between my branches, because I actually wasn't planning to put branches in. I wasn't actually really considering putting a tree in there. However, I did. So that is my tree, which I love. You can see I've put some white through the trunk just to give it some highlights. There's a little bit of a bleed on the left side. I'm very happy with that right side. I love the colour. I love the texture. And I do love this piece actually. And I think this will make the cut when I do my artist residency. I'm pretty sure that I will be really looking at this as a reference. And of course, I had to get a little bit more black in there and just put a few more branches in. That middle part, which is right where the binding is, has got a nice little white piece, and I do actually love that little spot. And I do love that tree. I still can't leave it alone. Even when the camera had stopped rolling, I was tempted to add a little bit more to the tree, but I did stop myself, which I'm happy to say. And this, as I said, will be part of my artist residency, which I have got coming up in April. And I put these piece of paper in between, which is greaseproof paper, and that stops bleed going through. So I did remember to put that in on that side, so I haven't got bleed through coming through for tomorrow, which is good. So I am going to continue doing some sketchbook studies over the next few weeks leading up. I'll just take you through. This was the day before's work. This again was using those ink pads, which was great fun. This was some leftover watercolor paper that I had on my palette. This one was putting in some highlights of some fluoro. This was some leftover watercolor paint, again using the black aquarelle pencil, just having a play. I also, with this one here, it was about what you could do with adding some purple for some textures and getting different colors in there. This was a quick one that I did before class actually. And the one that I'm showing here is was completely watercolor. There was no pencil or anything like that. So that's been the start of doing my landscapes. And this book will definitely come with me to my residency, and I will continue over the next few weeks to do some more landscapes using watercolor, trying different ways that I can also use different tools. So I hope you have enjoyed that, and I hope you will see you.